Everyone has confirmed that what the Israelis did in Gaza is war crimes, tantamount also to crimes against humanity. Today, Gaza is the biggest concentration camp in the world.
With premeditation planned for the Gaza Holocaust, Israel committed crimes that amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Using Palestinian civilians as military targets. This is genocide. Israel has committed crimes against humanity that cannot go unpunished.
It thus perpetrated war crimes and crimes against humanity, including genocide.
Such numerous cases of gross and systematic violations of international human rights and humanitarian law as willful killings, which clearly constitute genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity.
Perpetrated war crimes and crimes against humanity as documented.
It also confirms the worst fears of the international community about Israeli violations that amounted to war crimes and possible crimes against humanity, including willful killings, including those of defenseless women and children.
An indiscriminate force that has killed and injured thousands of Palestinian civilians, including children. The Israeli aggression in Gaza, war crimes and the crimes against humanity perpetrated during its course.
Everybody should be held accountable. Impunity only leads to repeating crimes. Mr. President, of course, there are serious consequences on international peace and security to putting a state above international law.
And the return of the Palestinian refugees to their mother home is the only and best solution that would lead to peace.
An important facet of this report is its findings on the causal effects of this conflict. That is, the historical perspective that serves to once again highlight that the root cause of this conflict is Israeli occupation.
I should also reiterate that the root causes of all these violations committed lies within occupation.
The Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories and the Syrian Golan and other territories continues to be the main obstruction for peace process and efforts and the main reason for suffering.
The Goldstone mission will go down in history as the 21st century's equivalent to the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a notorious work of fiction which spun a conspiratorial web of deceit and distortion that has fueled hatred of Jews ever since. At its core, the Goldstone report repeats the ancient blood libel against the Jewish people, the allegation of bloodthirsty Jews intent on butchering the innocent, or as the Goldstone mission casts this abomination for a modern audience, Israel, quote, deliberately terrorized a civilian population. Israeli violence against civilians was part of a deliberate policy. With this report, the UN has come full circle. Rising from the Jewish ashes of crimes against humanity, it now purports to render the Jewish people's exercise of the right of self-defense as itself a crime against humanity. Like all vehicles of hate, it relies on many cogs in the wheel. Terrorists whose ambition is to annihilate the Jewish people. States which invented an instrument to effect that end by political means when armed attack repeatedly failed. And the lawyers whose prejudices and predispositions meant that they were willingly carried out orders. by writing a report disguised as a human rights document that never mentions the racist, genocidal intent of the enemy, which Israel finally confronted after years of restraint, by inventing laws of war which never mentioned the right of self-defense, by relying on testimonies from witnesses under circumstances, in its own words, that gave rise to a fear of reprisals should they have dared to tell the truth. In this so-called interactive dialogue, there is, therefore, only one question to put to you, Richard. How does it feel to have used your Jewishness to jeopardize the safety and security of the people Israel, and to find yourself in the company of human rights abusers everywhere?
Finally, with regard to the remarks of Ms. Bayevsky, because the sort of criticism one heard from her, I have had from other people too. For most of my adult life, I was criticized by white South Africans for daring to speak out against the policies of the then South African government.
I'm very saddened by the remarks which have just been made. Despite my repeated calls for dignity and respect in this chamber, I cannot fail to notice that derogatory remarks and references are being made in connection with members of the fact-finding mission.
Today, Gaza is the biggest concentration camp in the world.
Thank you.
Gaza Holocaust.
Thank you.
War crimes and crimes against humanity, including genocide.
I thank you.
Clearly constitute genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity.
I thank you.
And crimes against humanity.
Thank you.
And the crimes against humanity.
Thank you.